Right now, as you're watching this, millions of people are also planning their trip to their favorite Florida theme park. And the bad news for them is they did not watch this video, which means that you have the opportunity to not make the same mistakes that they will do. So get ready for a month-by-month breakdown of when is the best time to visit the Florida theme parks. And before I give away all of my secrets, I think it's important for you to know that I have worked at the Florida theme parks for 4 years and I visit them all the time. So this, what I want to call top secret information, is something that I've experienced firsthand. Florida is a very busy place, and if you plan on booking your trip to the Sunshine State during the wrong time period, well, it will not only cost you a lot more money, but you'll be faced with tons of crowds because everyone else is visiting during that same time. Now, by following my recommendations, it will not only provide you with a better theme park experience, it will also help you save time and lots of money. Starting off with Florida's coldest month. The slowest time period for tourists would be January, since it's right after the holidays, and you're going to find everything less crowded, and that means shorter lines. But that's only if you can deal with some chilly nights and days, and if so, then January is a great time to visit Florida. Now keep in mind, if you are planning on visiting a Florida theme park outside of the really busy summer months, then you might be faced with a ride or attraction being closed due to its annual maintenance. So all I ask is that you check the park's websites, because a lot of the time they will announce the ride closure schedule ahead of time. Also, during January and February, the park operating hours will not be as long, so it's always a good idea to check that out in advance. Much like January, you're going to find things to be pretty calm during the month of February in Florida. While it's a little too chilly to take a swim in the ocean, visiting in February definitely has its benefits for sure. And if you're looking at hotels that are located along the I-Drive corridor, then stop looking, because I've done all the research for you in my top 10 places to stay along I-Drive. So be sure to check out those must-know recommendations. And you can find a link to that video in this video's description. The spring break season begins. March has a lot of benefits because the weather will get even warmer and the hours of operation for the attractions and theme parks will be much longer. The main downside, of course, is more crowds visiting for their spring break. So that means lines, and more lines. But checking out the spring events at the parks is always great. Now you might think there is a certain time period that is advised not to visit in the spring due to spring break. But honestly, every week from March through April is pretty busy due to schools having different spring break schedules. So you can try to visit Orlando during that time period, but I don't recommend it. While you're going to find even warmer weather, you'll also notice everything is still pretty busy. But I gotta say, the later part of April will not be as bad due to not as many spring breakers. And if you plan on visiting a water park, then April is definitely a great time to do that because the water will feel great. April is also a great time to head to Cocoa Beach for the day, which is the closest beach to the Orlando theme parks and is located a short 60 minutes away. If you are looking for one of the 2 best months to visit Florida, then you're really going to love visiting the parks in May. Mainly because you'll find the parks to be steady but not overly packed. Plus, the weather is absolutely perfect during this time of year. You're talking mid-80s, not really that humid, just plenty of sun and fun. Another benefit of visiting in May is that most kids will not be visiting, since most parents will not want to take their kids out of school during their last month or so. And for that reason alone is why my family and I visit Florida in May, since we homeschool. If you're planning on visiting Florida in June, then I really hope that you can visit during the first week or 2. By doing this, you will avoid the very busy summer rush and still get to enjoy everything the Sunshine State offers in June, just without the major crowds. While seeing fireworks in Florida during the 4th of July really is great, you can actually see fireworks every night of the year at Epcot and Magic Kingdom. With that said, I recommend not visiting Florida in July, mainly because this is the busiest travel month for the state. Not to mention, but every day around 4 p.m., this happens. And yes, it's pretty much clockwork. the humidity rages, and then all hell breaks loose and it downpours. Much like July, August is hot. Not only are you going to deal with the insane crowds, do you really want to deal with your young ones after spending a day in 90-degree heat and a 2-hour-long line for a ride that lasts just a few seconds? I think we all know the answer to that. But wait, August gets better because you're also going to enjoy the afternoon storms, ridiculous humidity, plus long lines and packed beaches. No thanks. Though, I will say the last week or so of August isn't nearly as bad due to the kids starting school again. What I love about spending our time in Florida in September is not only the weather's perfect, but you can still enjoy the water parks and water attractions at the theme parks, and it's not packed. Since schools start back up in late August and early September, parents will be less likely to take their kids to Florida during the first month of school. Another thing to really love about visiting in September is if you're planning on hitting up one of the new attractions that open each year at the 10 major theme parks here in Florida. This is because there's a great chance that any new attractions at the parks for that year are already open by this time and have worked out most of their kinks, which results in less downtime for that attraction. September is also great because you get to experience the park's Halloween events on select days. Whether your family is into a more frightening Halloween events like Halloween Horror Nights or Hollow Scream, or the not so scary stuff like you can find at Disney and SeaWorld, you will have an opportunity to enjoy these must-visit events. Fall in Florida might look a little bit different than what you're used to, but it has a beauty of its own. While the theme parks will still be busy on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, since they offer so many world-class Halloween events, but visiting the other days, you will not find it to be as busy. But again, if you're planning on visiting for the fall events, then I recommend coming down in mid to late September so it won't be as busy. If you don't mind it not being as hot and very little humidity, then November is another great time to visit. It's still warm enough to enjoy the water attractions, and on most days, not even worrying about bringing a jacket or sweatshirt with you. Another benefit is you're going to love the lower crowd levels. And finally, there's something special about seeing Christmas lights on a palm tree. While you will not find any real snow, you will find plenty of fake snow at the theme parks. The holiday events are really worth a visit to Florida because they are that good, especially SeaWorld's Christmas celebration. Overall, the first 2 weeks of December is a great time to visit if you plan on going in December. And with that, it's time for you to learn about the absolute worst time to visit a Florida theme park. But first, to recap my recommendations, the best months to visit the parks would be January, February, May, September, November, and early December. But promise me one thing, just make sure you aren't visiting the parks during what we in the theme parks call Hell Week. Now, before I share when Hell Week is, if you're visiting Walt Disney World, then you have to check out these top 10 restaurants that are located off Disney property. Though I will say, I just recommend you watching this video when you're not hungry. So, back to Hell Week. This is the week that parks are usually at capacity. For example, imagine trying to enjoy your day at the Magic Kingdom along with over 80,000 other people. Yeah, no thanks. You have to ask yourself, do you really want to wait in line for 3 hours to ride Soarin', Test Track, Space Mountain, or Expedition Everest? Exactly. Hell Week begins the day after Christmas and lasts through New Year's Day. Trust me, avoid the theme parks at all costs during this time. Not only is this week not recommended on visiting the parks, I'd safely say don't visit them in the week before either. Seriously, the parks are still busy during that time period. And here's a secret: when the parks are busier, then that means your lodging and ticket pricing will most likely even be more expensive since it's all based on demand. But what if you're trying to experience one of the holiday events at the parks? Well, be sure to check out their schedule because you can still enjoy the same event but a few weeks before Christmas or even around Thanksgiving. So I want to know, what is your favorite Florida theme park and when do you typically visit Florida? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and always think about Florida.